Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Today we're checking out some old miner's lamps that I have. Some of these came from estate sales. A friend of mine found some at an antique shop, and then I got some of these at auctions. So I'd like to go over a little bit of underground lighting history and then try to restore some of these, get them working. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that we've got some underground tunnels that I help out with out at my friend's property called Sandland. These days, of course, everyone uses super bright LED headlamps, flashlights, rechargeable batteries, etc. But in the old days, all you usually had was a flame light source. In the very early days of mining and cave exploring, you'd have something like a candle, just a regular old wax candle with a wick, and that was your light source. If you were really fancy, you'd stick that on a cloth hat or maybe a helmet. A little bit later, reflectors were invented. Now, this is not a original vintage reflector. This is actually a little lamp that I came across in Paris one time. You just take your beer can, you make one vertical cut, make a couple horizontal cuts to open up these wings. Be careful not to cut yourself on the knife or the sharp metal here. You fold these wings open, you pop your candle inside, and now you've got a little reflector. And the can protects the candle from wind gusts, kind of directs the light forward. I put one on an old hat here, and this is kind of what old style miners would do. They didn't really have safety helmets for a long, long time. They would just have a cloth hat, maybe a leather hat with some kind of light source on the top. Now, after the candle lantern and reflectors, we have the oil lamp here. So this would hold some kind of oil, maybe whale oil. You would have a cloth or cotton wick here. This, again, is a reflector. This would be brass or some kind of reflective metal. It needs some polishing. This one, like I said, is from an auction. It's been sitting around on someone's shelf for a long time, and it's not very shiny. So we'll see if we can clean this up a little bit. And then the next development in light technology was the carbide lamp. So this is a two-part container here. The bottom holds a chemical called calcium carbide, and the top holds water. You adjust things up here so that the water slowly drips down into the bottom compartment, reacts with the calcium carbide, and creates acetylene gas. And that gas comes up through the little nozzle here, and we have a little flint striker so we can light it, and then if you get everything adjusted just right, you have a nice bright flame. And again, you have a nice reflector, which we need to polish up here. These are both Justrite brand, which is a pretty common one. I think I have a more modern Justrite around somewhere, which is made out of plastic from the 1970s. I don't actually use that one because the plastic ones are prone to melt and explode, and that's not really what I want strapped to my head. Now, I also recently came across this other Justrite product, a safety can. This would hold your maybe kerosene, I think. It's a safety can, so it's a little harder to spill if you're down in the mine. If you're climbing around, you don't want your flammable fuel spilling out. So it's got this little opener mechanism. And then one final Justrite product, again, moving up in the technology, we have an electric lantern. I don't actually know the age of this, although it has this save and sell the cardboard for victory thing, which makes me think it's from one of the world wars, probably World War II, although again, I am not 100% sure. Here is what the lantern itself looks like. Yeah, it still has the Underwriter's Laboratory tag on it. Yeah, Justrite Manufacturing, Chicago, approved for safety in methane and air mixtures. So that was one of the downsides of those early flame-based light sources. If you're in a coal mine, if you're in somewhere with methane, coal dust, explosive gas, and you light up a carbide lamp or a candle or a kerosene lamp, boom, big problem. So there was something called a Davy lamp, which was a flamed but gas-proof lantern. I would love to find one of those. I've not found one in my price range yet, but maybe one day I'll get one of those. It actually does come with the original paperwork. Looks like a sales brochure here, so you can see some information about the lamp, parts diagram. Now, I'm sure there are all kinds of products to clean brass, to clean whatever this is made out of. I've heard the cheapest and easiest way is just toothpaste. So these are roughly in the same condition. I'm just going to arbitrarily start with this one. Remember, kids, brush your lamps every day to fight plaque and cavities. All right, we've given the one on the left there a nice, good toothbrushing, and it's gotten a little bit shinier. It's definitely a little bit nicer than the one on the right, but it's still not perfect. I don't know if we'll ever get it really perfect. Again, this was a working tool. This was probably used down in a mine in northern Minnesota in one of the iron mines. So yeah, it's seen some use. It's been sitting around for a long time, and there might be some amount of corrosion and stuff that's just not going to come off of here. I'm going to take this nozzle out and see if we need to clean that. I'm just going to try to be very careful with the multi-tool, and wow, that's just popped right out. Just let that sit in some solvent for a minute. Clean out some of the interior crevices a little bit here. And it actually unscrews really easily. So this is our calcium carbide container. You can see there's a little bit of residue of that inside. And then this part is our water dropper. This might need to be cleaned out as well. Okay, we've got the water mechanism freed up. Again, that is this little dial up here. So right now it's pretty much fully closed. If we open this, you'll see this bottom guy unscrews a little bit, and that just lets more water drip out of here. It gives you a faster flow rate of gas. There we go. We get some water dripping out of the bottom. Don't know if you can see through that, but we have a clear nozzle, so we're going to reassemble it. Now, one thing I didn't look at yet was the little striker here. So there should be a little spring in here, which I'm going to try not to lose. And then underneath this, boy, it's kind of stuck in there. There should be a little flint, which I think is missing, and I don't actually know where to get little tiny flints like that. I'm gonna have to go to a lighter shop or look on Amazon. And then we've got this spinny wheel. So that's the steel wheel. Flint goes in there. When you spin them against each other, it makes a spark, and that's how you would ignite this back in the day. Yeah, there's just not enough flint in there left to make a spark, so we'll have to light this modern style. All right, so again, we've got our calcium carbide miner's grade from HQ Company. And yeah, dangerous when wet, because that's how it works. It off-gases acetylene gas. You can buy this on the internet. It's from this HQ Company in Colorado Springs. The actual calcium carbide itself is apparently produced in an electric arc furnace from a combination of lime and coke. Unfortunately, I'm not a chemist, so I can't really tell you more than that, but I can throw a link to Wikipedia down in the description if you want to learn about it. Now, I'm not going to use much of this because I'm just testing. I'm not going to be going down underground for an hour, so for right now, we're just going to put a couple of these carbide rocks in and see how that works. I should also note we want to make sure that our rubber gasket here is in good shape, because that is what keeps the gas from escaping and causing a fire hazard. Remember, safety first when you're messing with flame-based light sources. I have multiple fire extinguishers around the garage just in case. All right, we have a tiny, tiny little flame. Let's see if we can increase the gas flow a little bit here. Okay, a little bit more gas flow. That's probably actually too much, so I'll turn it back down here. All right, when our reaction is done, we're left with this kind of decayed, white, crusty stuff. I found some of this junk in the garage. I might give this a shot and just see, can we get this a little bit cleaner, and especially, can we get the reflector a little bit nicer? Can we get a little more light out of this? Well, that stuff worked a little better than the toothpaste. It's definitely shinier on the reflector here, although I think it might have taken some of this shiny finish off because it seems like there's more kind of dark stuff underneath there. Still definitely better than the one on the right. Definitely shinier than the one on the right. And, you know, I don't necessarily need this to look perfect. As long as it's functional and safe, this could be a working lamp. I could actually take this out to Sandland or other tunnels and caves, use this as a light source, and yeah, it doesn't have to look like a priceless antique. So I'm actually not going to clean this one right away. We've got one functional lamp. I think we're going to stick with this one for the rest of the video. I am going to clean up the oil lamp a little bit, but probably just the reflector. I'm not going to really bother with the rest of it. Now, looking closely at this, it looks like there is a maker's mark. It's either EL or BL, B-E-A-L-L, Bros. There's a little cross logo, and it looks like Trade, Altoona, Illinois. I've got an old price tag on there of $16. don't think I paid that much for it. I think it was actually less than that. I don't know if this had a coating originally that would have been more reflective. I suppose I could put some reflective spray paint on there. Yes, I can hear the vintage lamp collectors screaming at YouTube again, but yeah, I guess I could put some foil tape on there, and that'd be kind of a shiny surface, and that wouldn't necessarily ruin the vintage lamp because I could just peel the tape back off. Maybe we'll go with that. We'll see how that looks, and yeah, I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments that this isn't really a reflector, it's just a heat shield, or that I'm just destroying a vintage antique, or stop doing terrible things to old lamps on camera. But you know what? I got this cheap. It's kind of a neat little thing, and I like things to be functional. I like antiques, I like stuff for display, but I like things a lot more if they can be usable. All right, so I've covered this in foil tape to make it more shiny. Now I don't have any whales nearby, so I can't fill this with whale oil, but I do have some paraffin lamp oil, the kind that goes into these old style lanterns or oil lamps. And then for a wick, we have a 100% cotton ripped up Axeman t-shirt. I love Axeman, but this shirt has kind of seen its last. It is torn, it is stained, it is pretty well destroyed, and I think Axeman Surplus will forgive me for using this as a lamp wick. I'm going to get the very most I can out of their products, including their shirt. Yeah, that's a reasonable flame. It's a little bit bigger flame than I want, definitely a lot smokier than I want. That was one reason that these carbide lamps were a big improvement. They're a lot cleaner burning than oil or paraffin like this. I've shoved the wick a little bit farther down in the spout, so it's burning a little bit cleaner now. It's a less energetic flame, not quite as bright, but still, you know, reasonably bright. And I think I made the right choice having that shiny reflector. It definitely directs the light a lot better than just using that back plate as a flame guard. This is another old carbide lamp that I found deep inside an abandoned mine up in Alaska. I think this one's a little bit beyond saving, but it makes for a cool artifact. I actually have another old mining or railroad lamp. I found this at another mine up in Alaska, and it was super rusty, didn't work. And we actually cleaned this one up, repainted it, and got it working again. So that one's kind of fun. I've actually taken this out exploring underground on occasion. I have to admit, I do have some more carbide lamps in the display case. These are both cosmetically better, but they are both missing parts. So you can see offhand, this one's missing its nozzle. It's kind of loose. This one is missing the striker mechanism. I think there's some other parts missing on it, but yeah, these ones, I might use these eventually, but I'm trying to get those other two working first. And of course, you turn your back for a second and the cat is in the display case. So come on, get out of there. For the electric lantern here, I had to hunt around a little bit for a battery, and I did manage to find one of these antique 6-volt lantern cells, and it does still have 6 volts in it, so I think it's gonna work. I just opened this up and there's a little envelope with spare parts in here. I don't think this lamp has ever been used. And there we go. Interestingly enough, the bulb switch here moves the bulb assembly on and off the contacts. So see here, when I switch that, it actually slides the bulb over, and then I think we can light up the second bulb by sliding it the other way. That second bulb seems to be burned out, so maybe this was actually used. But that's kind of cool. That's an interesting way to switch to your backup bulb without having to open up the lamp. All right, well, let's fire up each of these lamps in turn and see how they look on the video in terms of light. I did try to download a lux meter or light meter for my phone, but all the apps I found seemed to be kind of scammy and didn't actually do anything. So I don't have a scientific way of measuring the light. We're just gonna have to see what it looks like on camera. We're gonna start on the left with our candle, move on to our candle lantern, our oil lamp, our carbide lamp, and then our electric lamp. First up is our candle. Pretty dim. I have set all of the camera's light balance and exposure levels to manual, so this should be a fair comparison. You can see here the candle, not a very good light source. You can barely see me. Next up, we have the candle in the reflector in the lantern. Not a whole lot better. It's slightly better. You can see me a little bit, but still not a fantastic light source. If you were down in a mine and this was your only source of light, well, you wouldn't be seeing very far. Next, we have the oil lamp, and this is doing a little better. I think it's definitely a little bit lighter on the camera screen. It's still not fantastic. It's not as good as a modern light, but you can see me a little better. I can see around the room quite a bit better, so This is definitely an improvement over just a candle. And I believe we want to adjust this so that the flame is about 1 inch long, but not so much that we hear bubbling from the water compartment. We don't want that gas coming back up into the water tank. As you can see, this is much brighter. It's a little bit directional. You can see there's a little bit of a spot where my reflector is focusing, but it's lighting up kind of a pretty large area here too. So it's a really nice light source. Very good for caving, for mining, for exploring underground, because yeah, you can direct that central light source, but then you've got a lot of ambient light around you, so your peripheral vision is not lost. I really like this thing. I think this is going to come out to Sandland with me in a future video. Okay, last up, the electric lantern. Yeah, I don't know. Not quite as bright as the carbide, honestly. It's, you know, decently bright. It's got a focused beam. So, yeah, it's definitely pretty bright right where the beam focuses, but yeah, it does not give you that peripheral vision. It does not give you the warm glow of the carbide. So I would say electricity is kind of the inferior lighting product here, at least when it comes to mood and atmosphere. This is great. Electrical is great. I guess it keeps you from exploding if you're in a coal mine, if you're in somewhere with bad air, but yeah, it just does not have the charm of that carbide light. Well, thanks for watching this illuminating episode of Save It for Parts. Oh, that is terrible. That's a terrible pun. Anyway, I hope everyone has enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun with this video. I really enjoyed playing with all these historic light sources, and I am looking forward to taking the carbide lamp for sure out to Sandland, playing with that, experiencing some underground exploration in the true old style, and just seeing what that's like. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely be taking that out there and underground in the near future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.